Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Off you go.
What we're doing here is we're not installing the entire gate system, motors and controls and stuff. We're installing a system onto it to make it automated, so the customer's got remote access to be able to see who's at the gate and be able to open and close the gate with his tablet or his phone. So the current system, you've got a couple of close-ups. This is a standard gate control system, but inside here you can see the job that's been done. It's just an absolute mess, and there's a lot of moisture got inside it, so there's a lot of rust in there. This has got a combination of extra low voltage and mains voltage in there, and you know, plug tops for CCTV camera up there, and then the gate control system as well. Even though this is an IP65 enclosure, it's still susceptible to condensation because you've got the difference in temperature on the outside and inside of the cabinet. So even though this is a IP65, there's a big hole at the back there that hasn't been sealed up properly, so you're getting like spiders and all sorts of stuff in here, bugs, plus moisture coming in through there as well. So it's all yeah, so it's rusty and a bit of a mess. And what I'm assuming is the reason why they left the cover off this enclosure for the gate controls is maybe it wouldn't fit in the cabinet once it's gone on. The cabinet's not deep enough, so they've left the cover off that. So really that cover could do with being on, even though it's inside this enclosure as well, because you've got a lot of sensitive electronics in here which is doing all the gate controls and opening and closing. So if this gets damaged, then all that has to be replaced as well. So what we're doing is putting this bigger cabinet on. It's exactly the same cabinet, except it's deeper, wider and taller as well, so it's just going to overhang slightly this brickwork, but we're going to be able to fit this enclosure in to fit all the gate controls, and as you can see, that is considerably bigger than that one. So we've got plenty of room. We'll hopefully put all our power supplies in there, so it's an enclosure inside an enclosure. And if it's all sealed right, this should last a very long time, unlike this one's not worn very well over its life. So we need to remove all this off, and then we're going to use some Unistrut to fix this to the wall, makes fixing a bit easier. Underneath you can see everything's quite a mess that's been done in the past. So this is like garden lighting, internet cables in from the house, just these pipes just coming randomly out the ground at different places. All this is buried probably this deep, you know. Here you can see it here. You've got a cable there that you can just see it, it's just buried below the moss deep, and that's all over the garden. So we've got CCTV cables, we've got power cables, we've got water pipes, armoured cables for main supplies to buildings, all probably in this garden, buried not deep enough. So the whole job here has been a bit of a shambles, but we're going to be redoing all the external lighting here at some point. So we'll do obviously a separate video for that. So we're going to be using this Doorbird product. This is a keypad, but we'll compare that in a minute. We've got a power supply, this panel, a back box, and then this is a door controller / monitor that goes inside the house. So it's nice and neat, small. This has got a screen on. If somebody calls this, the video comes up in here, you can see who's at the gate. You've got the ability to open and close. This connects to the Wi-Fi in the house, whereas this needs a hardwired connection from the inside of the house. And this is like an IP system. So there are other ranges that we got a price for, which is more of a budget range stuff, but this stuff was the higher end, more expensive equipment, but a lot more reliable and a lot more advanced system as well. So the customer's gone with this one. So yeah, all that's gonna, so the current gate system, as I mentioned before, is just an open and close. I haven't got the fob, but it's just a key fob. And then I think you can put potentially put a code in the gate at the minute. So all that is a kind of dumb system. So he wants to be able to access it from inside the house, from here, from tablets, and no matter where you are. So this doorbird system, adding on to the current gate system, gives you the ability to do that. So if you do want to automate your gate system, you don't need to change all the gate motors and everything like that if it's functioning. Okay, so this is the current keypad that they've got. So it's got no camera on it. You've got a call button there, which calls just a normal handset in the house. Looks like an old school telephone. You call that, calls that, gives them the ability to push, speak to the person here, and then also open the gate from inside. And then also you can use a code to open the gate and one of the remote fobs. So this is going to be going in place of that. And it's got a back box. All we need between this is a power supply, and then you need your internet connection going into the back of this. So that gives us the access, the remote access, plus the power supply. Then you download the app, and then it talks you through the setup and programming of the system. So yeah, that's going to be going in place to that. And then we're going to just have to get some new cables, because the ones that are in at the minute aren't going to be enough. So we'll have to get some cable access through here, down and into the new cabinet. Oops, to resupply that.
Right, just a bit of an update of where we're up to. So we've put a bigger enclosure on, metal enclosure, and then we've got an IP rated adaptable box inside that to house everything, whereas before it was a little bit more open to the elements, because even though these metal enclosures are IP rated, they still get condensation inside them. So I think these are IP66, which will keep moisture out. We've got the original panel, so this is doing the actual gate motors. We've got so this 2EZ terminal here is for the sensors that detect if there's a vehicle or a person coming through, so they're connected back up again. So that'll stop the gate from closing if there's an obstruction. We've then got two Cat6 cables coming from the main entry panel on the front, which we'll show in a moment. One of those has got a RJ45 crimp on it, and that's doing most of the connection to the network, so that you can access the gates remotely. It's also power over Ethernet to the panel, and then we've got a second data cable Cat6, which we're using to as a switch pair to actually open and close the gates. We're just going to tidy all this up a little bit. We just wanted to get it up and running first, make sure it's functioning correctly. So you can see here at the bottom of the metal enclosure, we've got compression glands, stuffing glands. We've got Copex, so it's plastic, sort of rubber clad metal Copex, just to protect the cables, rather than just having them flapping around like that, like they were before. So obviously we just need to put a bit of Copex on this main piece of flex that's bringing power into the enclosure, and a bit of a stuffing gland in there. Yeah, so luckily we had, coming down here, a connection to the network. So one of these is, like I said, the main entry panel. The other one, we had a second cable going back to the indoor station, which we'll show you in a moment. And luckily we can fire data and PoE back down to that, so we didn't need to install any extra cabling inside the house, didn't need to chase any walls out or anything. Luckily that was already there. So it's going round about the houses a little bit. We've got data coming in here, and then we've got cable going back into the house to power the indoor station. So let's have a look at the entry panels and the video caller inside. We can set this up to have unique codes for different people, maybe gardeners, other tradespeople. We can set the codes up to be continuous, one use only codes, or activated between a certain date range and then they become inactive. So you can just punch in the code there, or if you've got a visitor, you just press the call button and then it connects up to an app. So we're doing this over 4G. In fact, yeah, it's not even a 4G connection. I'm just going to hang the phone up so we don't get a feedback loop there. But you can see we've got decent video connection. We can speak to the person, and from the phone we could just activate the relay that opens the gates. Like I say, that's over H+, which isn't the speed of 4G, but still works fine. On the app, it also shows you snapshots of people, timestamps, which is quite handy. You've got a bit of a history there. If you just have a quick look at the entry panel inside. So yeah, luckily behind this frame, it's got the iPad in that does some of the customer's other home automation. There's a load of cables, data cables, and one of those was back to the box there, so we're using that to power and send data down to this door panel. So from here, you could just activate the relay. You can see there we've got a nice video. So that'll just open the gate. That allows us to talk to the front gate. We can mute any alarms. And then we've got a simple menu where we can set up a few different bits. So what type of chime you hear when someone calls. Here's Paul ringing. Press that to cancel.
Hello?
Now then.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Right, let's just pause that. There we go. So it's a nice, simple to use, straightforward system, and it's rock solid because it's got that hardwired data connection.